All right, so here's a story. I'll try to make it quick. So when I was a kid, I remember I was in third grade, and I had this little girl that was my friend. We were really good friends. We were always together at school. And she came up to me one day and she told me that she had to move. Her dad was in the military. They had to go to Alabama. I still remember she said Alabama, and they wouldn't be gone for 3 years. So I was in third grade, and she wasn't going to be back till sixth grade. And I remember feeling sad about it because she was my friend, and I was going to miss her. But I remember waiting for her to come back. And when I got to sixth grade, she never showed up. She never came back. I never saw her again. But she's one of those childhood friends that you always wonder whatever happened to that childhood friend. And I always wondered whatever happened to her. It was her, and I had another childhood friend by the name of Strong Eagle that I've always wondered to this day whatever happened to him. But anyway, I always wondered what happened to her. And in the late 90s, in Spokane, Washington, there was a serial killer on the loose. Bodies were being found. I don't remember at the top of my head exactly how many bodies, but it was very high. Hold up, let me look it up real quick. All right, he was convicted of unaliving 13 women, and he's suspected of many more. But anyway, a task force was set up to catch this guy, and eventually they did catch him. And it was a big story in our area because the first two people that he ever unalived actually happened in the town that I live in and in the town that I grew up in. So anyway, I'm following the storyline of how they arrested him, and I see the last name. And when I see the last name, the very first thing I think about is this little girl, my childhood friend that I had. So I'm keeping up with the trial, and one day I'm at work. I used to work at a night shift in Oregon, so I would drive from Washington to Oregon. It was really not that far. It was only like a 20-minute drive. So I was at work. It was probably like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on a break, and I'm looking at the newspaper. People would bring in the newspapers. They leave them in the cafeteria for people to read. So I was reading the newspaper, and right on the headline, it had his story, and it had a picture of one of his daughters being comforted by her boyfriend, I'm assuming. And I'm looking at the picture, and I'm like, man, that girl looks familiar. And then I start reading it, and it says right on the head at the bottom, it says her name. And it was my childhood friend, the little girl that I always wondered whatever happened to her. She was the daughter of the serial killer. Eventually, he was convicted. He was sentenced to death row, but then Washington State got rid of their death row. So now he's life in prison. And he happens to be right over here at the Washington State Penitentiary. So I won't say her name, but I'm sure people can look up who the serial killer in Spokane was. It won't be that hard. But that was the story of my childhood friend, always wondering whatever happened to her. You know, in life we meet people come and go. Some of them we think about all the time, and we wonder whatever happened to them. Sometimes we, with social media, we end up getting in contact with some of them again. But like I said, I always wondered what happened to her. It was unfortunate who her dad was, but last I heard, she was doing great.